music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is, I didn't know you were going to start with this. That's okay. All right.
Hey, folks, it's Jerlene, and I'm live. I got a guest tonight. We are on the countdown. Next week, this time, we're going to have some new leadership. We're going to have some new
I hope
leadership.
so. I hope so.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum,
Oh,
Fatima.
walaikum salam, Sister Darlene. Nice
How
to
are
see you.
you? Yay.
Good.
Thank you for joining me. Folks who are joining us, Jerlene, I'm live from Long Beach, and I'm joined with Fatima Iqbal-Zubair.
Mm-hmm.
She is candidate for the 65th Assembly District. She is there's some crossover in Long Beach. So, folks, we're going to hear from a candidate that you may have not heard from. So, anyway, thank you, Fatima, for joining me tonight. Or it may be tomorrow by the time people watch this. So, whenever you're watching us, welcome, folks. Again, it's Jerlene live from Long Beach, Talk of the Town. All politics are local. Countdown as we reach the general election. We have, as I've shared in multiple broadcasts, that we have multiple elections that are affecting the city of Long Beach. So I am joined with a candidate, 65th Assembly District, that and she's gonna where is the 65th? Or actually, go ahead and say hello to people before I start asking you questions.
Yeah. Well, I had to share first, on my page. Make sure people on my page get,
Oh,
eyes.
yes. Make sure
I
you
did that.
Yes. I
Yeah.
forgot all about that. Let me give my little share on people. For people who are watching right now, if anyone's watching, please give a thumbs up. Let me know that you're here. Throw a comment. Let's get this going.
Right. Yeah.
But,
So let's
good
talk about
evening.
65th,
Go ahead.
where it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
first I want to
before we
say,
talk about where it is, who are you?
who am I? Okay. Who is this person, Fatima? Yeah. I want to say thank you for having this, because I think any sort of public forum and opportunity is just getting information to the people. And I'm a big proponent of that. So who am I? My professional background is I'm a teacher. From Watts, I still work with the youth there as a mentor with the robotics team I started in South LA. I'm a mother to a son with autism going to public schools. And I'm an organizer, an immigrant. And I'm really running for change. And so, just to keep it short, sort of why I'm running, never thought I'd be in politics. I loved being in the classroom full time. But, like, things need to change, right? Things need to change. I mean, our schools, we don't have our parents, accessing the information as much, and I know, Jerlene, you've done a lot of work with kids and advocating for parents. We need, we just need environments in school that are safe, where our kids can have clean water and have all the resources and materials they need. And so I saw that, but then it was also a lot of the environmental toxicity that I saw in Watts, that led me to organize. I taught science, and I was actually appointed commissioner by my opponent, and wanted to see what was going on with how there were no laws in place to create safe communities, clean communities, and just kind of saw that my opponent was on the other side. And so I ran for sort of change, for a new vision of unbought leadership that's going to be for what people have been asking for many decades, in my opinion.
Okay, so teacher,
Mhm.
environmentalist that decided she was going to get in the race. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're running for the 65th
Mhm.
Assembly District. Where is that? What cities does that encompass?
Right. So since this is especially Long Beach, I'm sure a lot of your audience is from all over, but North Long Beach, I know you're going to share the map at some point. You can see the borders, but actually a larger part of Long Beach than was in the 64th, the previous 64th. So, so it includes I think the entirety of North Long Beach, and correct me if I'm wrong, Darlene, but, the rest of the cities are Watts, Compton, Carson, north of Del Amo, Harbor Gateway, which is kind of an LA city territory, Wilmington, parts of San Pedro, coastal and central San Pedro, Willowbrook, Athens. Those are some of the major communities in the district. So, South Bay, kind of South LA, and obviously the North Long Beach area.
Okay. So North Long Beach. So if you live in North Long Beach, folks, the 65th,
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have a map behind me.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually
Let's
have a
see.
map behind me I got for the purpose of talking to people about, but I forget. So North Long Beach, actually, this is the North Long Beach area, folks. I'm gonna show a map on the computer as well. But let's see, we have the top border of North Long Beach is 70th and 72nd Street. The far east of North Long Beach, I guess would be called it's Hayter Avenue, and the far west is, I can't read that. Is it San Fe? It's over there somewhere. But anyway, North Long Beach, folks. So she's represented North Long Beach. The 65th is one of the newer districts. It was originally 64th before redistricting, and you are running against Mike Gibson, and I believe Mr. Gibson, he's been in office for over 8 years, right?
Yeah.
And just for people who don't know, assembly race is every 2 years. So this is actually your second time run. How has that been for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, you learn a lot when you run for office. It's, I mean, when you say politics, people want to run the other way, right? And there's a reason for that. I mean, it's unfortunately kind of like, known as a dirty game, right? It's like people kind of anything goes, which I'm against. So, I mean, from the beginning, I've always been about honest, accountable, fact-based facts out to the community, solutions to the community. That's really what our campaign's about. Not glamorizing, not sensationalizing anything, just facts and accountability. So how's it been the second time was, when we ran the first time, the pandemic hit, right? So we couldn't get the kind of face-to-face contact, which I love as a teacher, as a mother. Like, I love the relationship building, people at the doors, at community meetings. So, not having that was really difficult. We were only able to phone call and text bang. Our campaign had made the decision in 2020 to not even, lit drop because we wanted to be extra cautious. This campaign, this go around, I mean, we've been doing a really strong ground effort. It's been great. I'm sure, I know you said people might not know me, but I'm sure people in North Long Beach know me this time around because, we've had not just me, but canvassers on the ground every day, making sure we're visible in the community. And of course, I try to go to a lot of the community meetings as much as I can, and be present and listen and tell folks our vision. But that part's been great, Jerlene, because I love that. I mean, if I didn't have to fundraise so much, I would be spending all my time doing that because I love that. I love that community building. I mean, I think people just don't feel heard. And you ask them what issues they care about, they don't even know what to say sometimes because no one's asked them that. So I enjoy that the most.
Okay. Well, wow. So you're building. You've been, I actually met you when you were
my last campaign.
Yeah, your last campaign.
Yeah.
What are some needs that are, I mean, since you said you've had an opportunity to connect with North Long Beach residents, what are some needs and things that you've observed up there in North Long Beach? And are the things that you observed in North Long Beach, are they different from communities like Watts or Wilmington or Carson?
Yeah, and that excites me when you ask it, not in a bad way, because there's a lot of issues, but I'm really excited for community-centered and specific leadership because honestly, Jerlene, there are similar issues. So I'll talk about those in general, but there are specific issues North Long Beach has that I've heard at the doors. And I want you to tell me more. And I don't know if your viewers can comment and ask me questions and tell me even more so I can learn even more. Okay, so one of the issues that first came to mind was public safety, because I know in North Long Beach there's a concern, with the pimps and the prostitution and all of that happening, right? And child trafficking and all of that. I've heard that a lot last time too, and this time, and it's like, why hasn't it been done about it? I mean, this is like a huge safety issue for our families, for the girls involved. So I know that that's something that's been a huge issue that's come up. I've also heard that North Long Beach does not get the homeless services that the other parts of Long Beach get. And that's been an issue. So I've heard when at community meetings, well, we see homeless on the streets, but they're not getting services. We're seeing them just kind of be there. And it's like, that's an issue because we have our taxpayer money that's supposed to be doing that outreach. That's been something I've also heard, but other things I've heard in the district, like the quality of the streets, the sidewalks, the infrastructure, right? Just the community can look more beautiful, right? We can get better care of the parks, right? And the streets. Let's see, some of the other issues I'm thinking off the top of my head, what I hear most at the doors have been, infrastructure has been a big one because I was just at a community meeting and they, can I say something? Is this show, does anything go here? Okay. Because there was someone, I remember, a North Long Beach resident literally brought a bag of trash and said, I want you to give this to the politicians and see, because they're sick of it, right? They're sick of like trash not getting picked up, So, I mean, you can ask me more, but those have been the top issues I've heard, especially
Okay,
recently.
okay.
And,
So, and those are things that I've
right,
heard.
right,
I think the homeless
mhm,
issue, that's a citywide issue. I'm not
right.
sure. I'm not sure any part of our city is getting any more attention than the other on that.
Okay.
Yeah, the quality of
Right,
streets. I know. Is Market Street is one of the
right.
streets that I drove down that street. I felt like I needed to sue the city. Because I drive an older vehicle, I
Oh.
thought I thought my truck was gonna fall
No,
apart.
we laugh about it, Jordan, but the
Yeah,
thing is people need to pay for their cars and not everyone's not making a lot of money. That's what
right,
I hear too. It's like it can, put people in debt. I
right,
mean,
right.
you hear that issue in
So
Compton a lot too. It's really sad. It's like a basic thing, right? Like I want to be able to drive and walk and not like have my car break down and not have like
right.
not trip over, some a sidewalk that's like, has roots and it's just it's
So
really sad.
yeah, so
I know we're laughing, but it's like really
oh,
sad. Like, oh my gosh, like why? Why does that exist? Those kind of streets.
but okay, I'm gonna ask you a question though. So and you also
Okay.
mentioned public safety. One, the district, like you said, you're representing Carson, San Pedro, Compton, Willowbrook, Wilmington, and North Long Beach, in this little bitty slither in North Long Beach.
Right.
Um, how can what is the role of an assembly member to even be able to address some of these things that you said you're hearing at the door? Like what would you do? Like what would be
Yeah.
your role?
Yeah. Okay. So one thing is, I tell folks is, I don't sort of take the police union and association money because I want to hold them accountable. A lot of our taxpayer money is going to the police. And so I want to be able to, one, make sure that they're patrolling where they're supposed to, doing their job, right? I hear this a lot they're, we just got to hold them accountable, right? To that. But I think the other thing is, I'll be honest with you, there was a law, I know that a lot of residents were upset about, that a lot of politicians up in Sacramento voted yes on, but I think it was, I don't want to say the bill number, but it was like not a well thought out law. So it kind of
Mhm.
didn't let, our current public safety take care of some of the issues we're seeing in the areas we talked about, you know what I mean? And so to me, what that comes down to is not like, okay, well, we should have had Gibson vote no on it, or yes. It told me that there's no thoughtful policy that's really solving issues, right? So for example, if there's an anti-loitering sort of law, you know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about, right? Yes, loitering is or it was, I think, a law to say that you can't arrest someone or you can't, but to me, like, you have to be very nuanced in certain laws, right? Like, does that really solve the issue? Like, because if you say that, okay, we have this area, this public safety area happening with, loitering and the pimps issue, the prostitution, all the child trafficking, that's a huge issue, right?
Mhm.
We're not addressing the root of the problem, right? A lot of those girls are probably traumatized, they're probably homeless, they're probably, going through a lot of issues. Just passing a law to say that we can't arrest them, like, that's not the solution. Like, we got to talk about,
Got it. Got it.
who's the root of the issue, like who is
Mhm.
the master chain of this operation. That person does need to get some accountability, right? I
Mhm.
mean, so I think as assembly person, what I want to do is work really closely with the public safety, like whether it's the police, the city council, public works, to hold them accountable to really addressing the root of the issue. The other thing is when there's bills that come up in the assembly or like the Senate, this was a Senate bill, right? If there are this is the thing I don't get, Darlene. If there were community members upset at it before, why didn't, my opponent, because I would do something different. Like I would come down and say, hey, there's this bill. How, would you like this in your community, or do you want something in it changed? That doesn't mean I'll vote yes or no on it. It just means like, is this going to work for your community? How should
Mhm.
we amend it? How should we change
Mhm.
it? What controls and regulations do you want in North Long Beach and things like
Mhm.
that? So like that's the kind of leadership I would have. If it's because like, I want to be really rooted in community and be really responsive. You should be passing bills that community members can work with and can make their community safer, not something that's going to make things worse, right? The other thing is for example, for housing, right? You all know there's so much developer money and out-of-state developers that don't even live in the state that are coming in trying to build all the luxury development. You all know what gentrification is, displacement is. I mean, that's happening. We all know what high rents look like. I'm a renter, right? So at the state level, I'll end with this because I'm sure there's another question, public safety and housing. what we can do for that at the state level is really make sure our renters are protected, right? Whether that's a right to a lawyer, right? And look, one thing I want to address, Sterling, because people always say, oh, if you are for rent control, you're against small landlords. That's not true. You can protect small landlords, right? And you can protect renters. So those two things are not mutually exclusive. So, something we can do at the state level is really make it easier for local municipalities to build the right type of housing, whether that's permanent supportive housing, not necessarily just shelters, right? Because shelters don't have the services. Permanent supportive housing with the actual healthcare services, social services, job reentry, whatever is needed, job training, right? And actual affordable housing, but I don't mean affordable like affordable for 5% of the population, right? I mean real housing that people can actually live in. They can from the community, right? So that's the kind of thing we can do at the state level. We can change zoning laws. We can speed up the building of the right type of housing and stop the building of the right type of development, things like that. I mean, a lot of those are local control, but we can create some restrictions or loosen restrictions, right, on the type of housing that's built.
Okay. How, if elected, because again, there's this long list of other cities that you would be responsible for. How would you make sure that that little slither of North Long Beach is actually paid attention to?
Yeah, I will. And honestly, what I feel in my heart is because I've been walking in the communities now for a couple of years and going to meetings, you start like feeling a love for the community, right? Even though I live in unincorporated Gardena, like I feel a lot of love for North Long Beach and a lot of love for Watts and Compton. And people know it's because I'm present and I try to be present. And so honestly, it starts with that. It starts with compassion, right? So what I want to do though is like, one, you have to really love every community in your district, understand, like just like you have kids, right? You love all your kids, but they're all different. They all have different needs. Now, the way you address it as an assembly rep is something I want to do is see if I can have offices in every major part of the district, okay? Not temporary offices, but like a permanent office in North Long Beach where you can walk in, Jerlene, and say, I need help with my social security. I need help with my small business. Because I bet people watching this who have small businesses will say, what in the pandemic, we didn't get access to that. I mean, there was state help, but I bet you they'll tell you we couldn't get on the line. We couldn't get online. Okay, so I heard this and I said, well, constituent services. So I would want a staffed office in North Long Beach, a staffed in one in Watts, like Compton's big. So probably 2 in Compton, right? Because we have all of Compton. 2 in Pedro, 1 in Wilmington, or 2 in, I want to invest in a lot of these offices on the ground, right? On the ground, because Sacramento's far away, but I want us to have a presence next to the community, near the community. So when there's basic things, and let's say Long Beach City Council or Compton City Council is not doing their job, people should be able to walk into my office and say, look, Fatima, like, I know this is a city thing, but can you please make sure this gets done? My speed bump, my parking issue, right? I mean, those are issues that we should be able to work with local government, public works departments, Caltrans to get that done. And I want to be on the ground, not physically me, because I can't be in 10 places at once, right? But I want to make sure our staff is well trained and we have field staff on the ground where you could walk in at least one staff member at each of these offices at all times, right? To be responsive to services.
So I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to switch gears for a minute. So this is what you were talking about.
How are you getting this information? Oh my God.
So is that
they know what I'm talking about.
So that's what you were talking about.
Whoa,
that's
embarrassing.
That's pretty frightening. I'm just gonna say that's pretty frightening. So something that I saw online, and the some hit pieces came out after you, and I know
that's how you know we're winning.
This is political,
right?
I want to just show. I'm going to pull this up. So give me a moment. So folks who are joining is Jerlene live with Fatima, candidate for the 65th Assembly District, which encompasses many cities and part of North Long Beach. She is running against incumbent Mike Gibson, who's been in office for approximately 8 years or so or more or whatever. I gotta apologize, y'all. I didn't look it up. Yeah, what I'm gonna do, I want to show this. And give me just a moment. Let me pull this up, people. And if you live in North Long Beach and you are most likely a registered Democrat, because they're kind of special club, you only get certain mailers, you may have seen this. So All right, so let me make
Now it's
sure.
getting fun.
Are
Let's go.
you? It's getting fun. It's getting fun. So
This is
you
the
see
late night part of the late night
the
part,
late
right?
night, right?
Edition.
You
Let's
see
go.
that? Okay, so let me go back. Let me scroll. Let's see if I'm able to do this. All right, are you able to see? Let's check. Okay, so it's a hit piece, y'all. I can't. Let me get all close in here.
That's too much
He,
words, first of all. That's not a good mailer. Who puts that much words on a mailer?
too many words, right?
Too many words.
Coming from the teacher, too many
That's
words,
what I think.
So, yeah, they got you looking real sketchy, sister. They got you looking real sketchy here. Yeah. Is that implying? But can you address some of these? I'm sure you have this in front of you right now. I
Right.
would need to pull it up on my phone because I sure can't see that from there. But if folks are
Right.
listening, this is a hit piece that came out from her opponent. Oh, I probably should have blocked out his face on there.
That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry
But
about
go ahead.
transparency. It's all right.
Take
Yeah.
a moment and address some of these things. I mean, because clearly, I mean, it's a hit piece. So rarely are hit pieces factual,
Mhm.
although there are some hit pieces that are
Right.
factual. Address a couple of these things for people who are watching.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm really solutions oriented. So I hope we can transition also and talk a lot about just the solutions, right? That we would bring to the district. So number one, Mike Gibson's calling himself a champion for environmental protection. That's just laughable because one,
Well, actually,
I,
no. Let's not talk about him. Let's talk about you.
oh,
What
okay,
else?
but he's contrasting it. He's the one.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
I'll
okay,
try. I'll try. Okay.
okay.
Well, okay. Well, he okay. So he is saying about me that I'm distorting. Okay, thank you. I'll approach it from that person. I see what you're saying. So it says in the bottom. I'm gonna start at the bottom. Fatima Iqbal-Zubair is distorting Mike Gibson's environmental record, even though she has close ties to polluters herself. Number one, I don't take any polluters' money, so that's a lie. Number two, I can't distort Mike Gibson's record even if I tried, because guess what? Your voting record is public. And a lot of the folks that put out these scorecards are in organizations like Sierra Club, Say Hi Action, CBE, you know, so it's not even me. I can't even change that. So that's a lie. He has like an F or D on his environmental record. The second one going up, the household income I failed to report was from one of the world's largest weapons contractors, which has been fined millions for breaking the law. Okay, so my husband works for Raytheon. He's an engineer. He is not a CEO. He's not the CFO. He's like middle management. That's where he works. Yes. Is Raytheon, a defense contractor? It is. But they do a lot of things to protect our homeland, like, surveillance attacks and things like that. That does not mean
And a job with Raytheon is a nice job.
there are nice. I mean, we need everyone to have that kind of job. But yeah, I mean,
Right?
it's like, and first of all, Geraldine, you know what? I feel like, why are they even talking about my husband? Like, this is me. I'm running. Like, I'm an independent person, even if you know what I'm saying. So that's a whole other thing.
Okay.
But yeah, but what do you say? Oh, so yes, so that he's saying we put in money. Yes, we did put in some of our savings, some of the 401k, because his 401k into our race to pay for mailers and pay our staff and stuff.
That's a nice husband.
Yeah, and you know what? I want people to know that I'm renting my home. I am not a millionaire. Okay, so when we put money in, it means we're living paycheck to paycheck. We literally are. Okay, so it's not like I'm a Rick Caruso I have like I'm billion. No, I don't. Like I am literally renting right now. My son goes to public school. We have to watch our grocery bill. You know what I mean? Like it's like
you're a real person living.
Yeah. So
real experience in this is in this state.
Right. So did we? Yes, because honestly, when I took a pledge to not take any corporate or police union or developer money, it's hard. Most of my money, people need to know, like 3/4 of it is raised from donations from people. Like that's where most of it, but like some of it is, yes, from money we put in. Okay, the last fact, I was found by the FPPC to be in violation of state transparency laws for failing to report the biggest source of our household income. That's also false. That people can see online. I have no charges against me from the FPPC. I literally forgot to fill out one of the many forms that you fill out. I think it was form 700. I forgot to report. I thought, my treasurer actually, along with me, I'm not blaming anyone here because we're all a team, but one of us missed it and they didn't get reported, and like that was an accident and we amended it and we didn't get charged. They told me that the FPPC said, hey, a lot of new time candidates do this. We're not going to, when they just give us the amended form, that's it. So that's that.
Right. So for folks who have been watching, I am hold on just a second. Let me grab my stack. Don't be
Oh my God. Look at
mesmerized.
all that mail.
Don't be mesmerized by the shiny mailers. And when you get these hit pieces on folks, like take the time, look it up yourself. Don't get stuck on that, people. That's been
Follow the money.
my thing.
Mhm.
And just think about it. Every one of those mailers can probably cost anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, depending on the area in which they send to. So don't get caught up with that, people. Let's see. Let me have got a couple more questions for you. All right, so we're actually winding down in time. We said we're going to try to keep this a little bit short.
Okay.
Before I ask you another question, what I am going to do, I'm going to show a map. So people, again, just give me just a moment. Let me pull up a map. So where is the 65th, and where is it as it relates to? All right, are you able to see that? Okay, so let me enlarge. All right. Too big. So I don't know if people are able to see that. That green is the 65th. So people, and what I'll do, I'm gonna drop a
That would be
link
helpful so people
to this
could see. Yeah.
into let me do that. I'm gonna drop a link into the feed so you can click on it yourself. So as you see, Long Beach, we got the 710 freeway right here. We have we're bordering Paramount, Bellflower, Compton. So we're in this top area right here, or the bottom area right here. So I'm gonna put a link in there. So if you want to find out where you are located, and also if you go to Fatima's page, let me pull that up. There's also a map there as well. And I definitely, it's for people who are still trying to decide who they want to cast their vote for. Take the time, look the people up. It may take you a few minutes, but take a look and compare what candidates are saying. So this is actually on your page I'm looking at right now. So there's a map that's on I believe this is the first page of her website. And you can go there, you can type in your address if you're not sure. Yet everyone should have received a ballot by now. Everyone should have received a mail-in ballot. You can go to your mail-in ballot and you can look to see who your assembly, if they're assembly place. Like for me, I live in the 60, let me make sure.
69.
I live in the 60. I think
so you have Josh Lowenthal or Al Austin, right? That's
yeah. I live in the 60. I live in the 69. So if you look at this. I'm a hot mess. Yeah, I have not filled out my ballot, people. But if you look at it, it's somewhere on there, so you can find her. Are you number one, number two on the ballot?
Right. Can I? I'm number one, and it'll just to make it easy for folks, right? Because people get confused. For the assembly race, you could have two Democrats in it. Okay, so my opponent's like he's a Democrat, but I'm a Democrat too. So please know that I'm a Democrat, right? And yes, he's a Democrat, but there's different types of Democrats, as we all know. So pick the better Democrat is what we have to do. Hopefully you pick me, the unbought and unbossed candidate, and I'm actually first on the ballot. So you would see 65th Assembly District. I think I'm on the second or third page for most places. You'd see 65th, you'd see Fatima Iqbal-Zubair, public school teacher. Okay. And then my opponent, we don't need to keep saying his name, is under because let's have folks remember my name. All right, it's under my name.
Don't say the
remember that number one spot, bubble that in. We're good.
Okay, before we close out, what are 3 things that either you would like to share with people, or that you want people to know about you, or why you believe that you're the best candidate? So they can be any of those. Just kind of throw it in. But 3 things. What are they?
Okay, number 1, keep it short. Compassion, right? My opponent has said some things that are xenophobic. One about me, like she's not from this country, which I think is awful. We need multiracial coalition and leadership. Okay, so compassion. I will make sure everyone is included in my policies. I'll make sure I listen. I will not have a bill that does not include you first, right? So if there's a legislative session, I'll make sure you know what all the bills are. Make sure that Jerlene, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Make sure that, you're aware what amendments you want, how you'd like me to support or not support that bill, right? Community-driven leadership, compassion, everyone in, nobody out. And not just in words, because people can say nice things on mailers. I mean in action, right? I won't say anything bad about excluding groups. I'll bring everyone in. The second thing is, I think it's time for change, right? The best metric of accountability for your current leadership is, have you seen things change in North Long Beach or in your area, or get worse? And I mean drastic change, because the assembly has a lot of money and a lot of resources. I'm not talking about one big check you see here and there in your election season. I'm talking about, have you seen your streets fixed, right? Have you seen your water being clean? Have you seen your schools really get better? If you haven't, it's time for change, right? Give someone a chance to show something different. Hey, if I don't do a good job, you could vote me out, but give me a chance, right? Just see how I would lead differently. And maybe the third thing is, and I didn't think about this, but I'm a woman of color, right? I'm a mom. I'd be the first South Asian woman, the first Muslim, all that. I don't play identity politics, but I do think, one, we need gender parity. We need more women in leadership positions, right? We need more people from different backgrounds, teachers, nurses, you name it, right? Not just lawyers and, business people or whatever most politicians are, right? You need regular people who've lived and worked in communities. Lastly, you need unbought and unbossed politicians. You need folks that are not tied to special interests, so they're not actually just going to say the words to say, oh, I care about the environment. They're actually going to act like they care about the environment, and that's how they're going to vote. So, you can see the contrast with me and my opponent. I mean, he's not those things. I don't want to focus on him. I am, and that there's a reason I'm deciding to challenge him when the seat is not necessarily open, but he is an incumbent. There's a reason. And just ask yourself, have things changed? What kind of leadership would you like to see? And it's your choice.
Wow. Well, Fatima, I know this has been short, and wish I could have gotten to you a lot sooner. I really appreciate your time. I'm am to the point right now. I'm like down to status quo.
Right, down with the establishment, down with the status
I'm
quo,
like,
for sure.
yeah. So I have to say, yeah, folks, I'm feeling a little biased right now about everything. I'm gonna be honest about it. If you're watching again, we are at next week, this time we will have new leadership. So there are 6 days left, or 5 days. I mean, because this day is almost over, left in this election cycle. You can vote. You can take your mail-in ballot. You can drop it off at a voting center. You can go into a voting center and vote in person. Take your time, people, to check out candidates. And just like Fatima said, has there been change, right? Has there been change, or are our communities progressively getting worse? So before we close out, I'm going to share something that someone posted. And thank you for people who are commenting. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So that's something that a North Long Beach leader posted, and actually he even posted that he said that once you win,
Thank you, Carlos.
he's ready to connect with you. So
And
again,
can I say one quick thing about the voting, because a lot of people don't know, because I really believe more people need to. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's really, really important. I wanted to say, because a lot of people still don't know voting centers, like Carlos said, are open right now. Like
yes,
regular voters don't necessarily know that, because things change with voting in California. They've been open since last weekend. So they're open, I believe, 10 to 7 or something, or 10 to 6 now. This Saturday, I believe they're like 7 a.m. to 8. They're going to go like earlier hours. And so please know you can vote in person. Like right now, I'll be honest with you, the voter turnout in our district has been low. We expect about 100,000 people to vote in our election. It's only been about 20,000. So we expect a lot of y'all to vote right now. So thank you, Carlos. Follow Carlos's example. When you go to vote, take your neighbors with you, take your friends, take your family members with you. And if you go to our website, last thing I'll say is the top banner, when you click on that orange banner, it says vote before November 8th. If you click on that, it goes to all the voting information, the centers, your registration, all of that. Last thing, we have voting guides. So if you are not sure about the other races, because a lot of people might be like, this is a 6-page ballot, right? Like, how much? I don't have time to fill this out. One, you don't have to fill out everything. You can leave stuff blank, know that. But if you really support us, you have to turn your vote in for us. At least I encourage you to do your research 100%, but know that you don't have to vote on every single little thing. But there is voting guides on my website that are from other sources. It says voting guide. So if you don't know about the other races, you want some independent research, and there are different voting guides. Some they have different opinions on things. Please go there. It'll take a second. It'll give you the breakdown of the propositions. It'll give you, their own recommendations from there. That's all I wanted to say, just to make things easier for voting. But
well, thank you for joining, folks. We got someone from North. Wait, was it included voting? Here, I'm gonna add this. Another
thank
comment.
you for that, Carlos. Thank you so much. People, it's important.
So thank you, folks that have been joining. Is Jerlene live from Long Beach with Fatima, candidate for the 65th Assembly. Talk of the Town, all politics are local, here to
Right. All politics are
inform,
local.
engage, and inspire. Not sure if I said anything to make anybody laugh tonight, but thanks,
You make
folks.
me laugh.
Here.
You were
I made
smiling
you
a
laugh.
lot, right?
That's
You
all
were
that matters,
smiling.
right? That's all that matters.
We need to find
Um,
joy. We need to find joy, and you
right,
brought
right.
joy. You did.
So please, react, give us a thumbs up, give a comment, share. We're crunch time, people. Again, thank you, Fatima. Don't leave. I'm gonna take
Okay.
us offline.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, everyone, for listening.